Melania Trump, great to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Listen, I guess the first thing is congratulations.
I want to also thank my beautiful wife, Melania, First Lady.
And you need to defend yourself all the time. As you may heard, I file a few lawsuits, and I'm in the court now because they accuse me of doing stuff that I never did in my life, and they wrote lies. And I will not allow that. I will fight till the end because I don't want that they damage my reputation.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all agree on that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She's destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Allegedly.
And she doesn't.
Yeah, how do you know all this? You don't know all this.
Allegedly. That's why I say allegedly.
Melania Trump recently won one of the largest defamation lawsuits in history, obtaining an astounding $900 million settlement against Sunny Hostin, co-host of The View. This is more than just Melania's personal triumph. It's a turning point for media accountability and a strong reminder that careless, politically motivated attacks on public figures will not go unpunished. The Viewpoint has functioned for years under the assumption that they could say anything they wanted without facing any consequences. Under the pretense of opinion, they have publicly defamed politicians, visitors, and even former first ladies. However, their unchecked slander has now finally caught up with them, and this lawsuit has established a precedent that will make works reconsider their decision to assassinate Ratings' character. What specifically did The View say that cost them almost $1 billion then? It all began when Sunny Hostin decided to psychoanalyze Melania Trump. She boldly asserted, without any supporting evidence, that Melania despises her husband and only pretends to love him for financial gain. Even though it was a ridiculous accusation, Sunny continued to make it as fact, as though she knew something about the Trump marriage. Since this is the point of view where the co-hosts continuously repeat each other's unsupported assertions, no one even questioned her. Nothing was pushed back, no proof was asked for, nothing. They all simply nodded in agreement, taking her statements at face value, as though disseminating flagrant falsehoods about the former First Lady were just another lighthearted segment on their program. However, they messed with the wrong person this time. The media has a history of dragging Melania through the mud. For years, they painted her as aloof, opportunistic, and cold, treating her as if she were merely Donald Trump's tool. Every action she took was analyzed, mocked, and twisted into a dark story. But despite everything, Melania said nothing. She usually chose to ignore the attacks rather than react to them, but this time she decided enough was enough, and what followed stunned everyone. But enough was enough. After years of being attacked by the media, Melania Trump refused to allow The View to get away with publicly disparaging her persona. She was aware that remaining silent would only give them and others like them more confidence to continue spreading unfounded lies without worrying about the repercussions. She therefore wasted no time in getting legal counsel. Her team retaliated forcefully, bringing a shocking defamation lawsuit that painstakingly detailed how The Viewpoint had strayed from simple opinion to outright lies. Remarks intended to seriously harm her reputation. Intense legal action ensued, with The View and ABC frantically defending themselves over the course of several months. The evidence against them was overwhelming, but they attempted to play it off by downplaying their remarks and claiming that everything said on the show was protected free speech. Melania's attorneys did more than simply rely on their opinions. They brought the receipts and revealed the pattern of focusing on conservative women, demonstrating a blatant bias in the way they covered figures who lean right as opposed to those who lean left. Conservative women were constantly praised, scandals were sugar-coated, and liberal women were shielded from criticism. Like Melania, they were frequently attacked, denigrated, and tarnished by unsubstantiated allegations. Her legal team provided example after example of previous defamatory remarks, interviews in which the hosts stepped up their fabrications and provided indisputable evidence that their careless rhetoric wasn't merely spontaneous banter, but rather a concerted attempt to discredit people they didn't like. The message was very clear when the verdict was finally announced. The jury rejected the Viewpoint's feeble justifications and their frantic attempts to present this as an instance of free speech. Rather, they rendered an astounding decision: $900 million in damages. And it was nothing less than a financial disaster for ABC. This lawsuit could be the last straw for The View, which for decades had been one of the network's flagship programs and a daily highlight of daytime television with a devoted viewership. Legal experts and business insiders are already speculating that ABC might be forced to shut down completely. Along with a crippling financial burden and the irreparable harm to their reputation, the network was already dealing with declining ratings and advertiser pullback. It seems highly unlikely that The View will survive this scandal. And what about Sunny Hostin? To put it mildly, she is most likely having trouble sleeping at night. Her own network lost almost $1 billion as a result of her careless, unrestrained remarks. And she is currently under intense scrutiny from all sides. ABC executives are reportedly furious and frantically working behind the scenes to repair the damage. Even if she somehow keeps her job, she has lost whatever credibility she once had, according to inside sources who say that serious talks are taking place about whether she should be fired in an effort to lessen the fallout. She presented herself for years as a moral leader, the alleged voice of reason who dared to hold influential people responsible. But now, she's the one who has single-handedly triggered one of the biggest defamation losses in television history. After this, who will take Sunny Hostin seriously? Her days of uncritical narratives and self-righteous monologues are over. Every statement she makes going forward will be met with suspicion, and the $900 million catastrophe she contributed to will permanently damage her reputation. However, Melania Trump is emerging from this conflict stronger than ever, while Sunny and ABC are still in shock from their worst nightmare. How did you start to notice who the guards were more? This lawsuit has totally dispelled the media's portrayal of her as a quiet, submissive person who wouldn't dare to defend herself. She won big. She didn't just fight back. She refused to accept a flimsy apology or a grudging retraction. Instead, she demanded justice and left with a settlement so large that it could bring down a whole network television program on its own. And by doing so, she established a precedent that has the potential to completely upend the media landscape. The industry is already feeling the ripple effects of this case. What about the innumerable other media outlets that have made their reputations on disparaging public figures? If The View, one of the most influential and long-running talk shows on television, can be shut down for careless defamation, who will come next? CNN, MSNBC, The Post in Washington? You can be sure that attorneys representing other public figures, politicians, and celebrities are listening carefully. They are coming to the realization that they can no longer stand by and watch as media personalities with ulterior motives destroy their reputations. The network has already experienced severe financial setbacks, but the harm doesn't end there. Major advertisers are now discreetly leaving a show that just cost its parent company almost $1 billion, according to industry insiders. According to some reports, the show's days are officially coming to an end. There is serious discussion about either canceling it completely or, at the very least, reorganizing the cast and firing the most problematic presenters. And let's face it, Sunny Hostin was at the top of that list. Sunny, who usually doubles down when called out and launches into lengthy self-righteous defenses about how she's just speaking her truth, has been suspiciously quiet ever since the verdict was rendered. Not this time, though. Can you really blame her for avoiding interviews, avoiding the spotlight altogether, and being noticeably absent from social media this time? She faces not only public humiliation, but also the very real prospect of losing her job at ABC entirely. Cutting her loose might be the only option available to the network, which is currently in crisis mode and assessing its options. If sacrificing her means preserving The View's remaining reputation, then this is their only option. Since The View has a long history of making careless remarks about well-known people, other influential people may feel more confident to file lawsuits now that the floodgates have been opened. However, this lawsuit has completely changed the course of events. They are now being held responsible and exposed as careless, prejudiced, and downright unprofessional. They spent years portraying themselves as truth seekers, but they gave up when confronted with the reality of their own behavior. Melania Trump is doing well in the meantime. She won respect, which was the main goal of this lawsuit, not just money. She demonstrated that she is not a politically passive spouse who can be blamed for anything without facing repercussions. Since she appeared on one of America's most influential daytime talk shows, legal teams everywhere are rushing to reevaluate the dangers of uncensored commentary. It may be time for programs like The View to start doing real journalism rather than just talking the talk, with no accountability. And if they don't, the upcoming weeks will be crucial because Melania just demonstrated what happens when they go too far. Will The View really be discontinued by ABC? Will Sunny have to endure a torturous apology? Will more well-known people take up arms in response to this lawsuit? The world is watching to see how far this fallout goes, and one thing is certain: this is a reckoning that The View never anticipated.